I believe that if we are honest with ourselves, that the most fascinating problem in the world is who am I? What do you mean? What do you feel when you say the word I myself?
I wanna fly the train! I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on?
¿Qué piensas en favor? Então assim que minhas fotos estão tudo bem.
Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on? I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on?
Ignore this particular problem until it swings up and bites you on the ass.
Psych, just kidding. My new catchphrase is, I don't give a fuck!
It's asking a lot to believe that the problem is going to fix itself.
Guess what, bitch?
Our technology and our numbers have both reached a state where inadvertently we can pose a danger to the global environment, especially through the atmosphere.
The whales have a 15-foot penis. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
Now, nobody pretends we understand everything about the global climate.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself.
There are feedbacks, some of which you warm the Earth a little bit, and the tendency will be to further increase the temperature, so-called positive feedback.
What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm wondering if you guys can hear me. You can? Okay. I had messed with some of my settings today, and I hope that they're still working okay. Maybe. I'm not sure. Crap. I didn't think about this until right as it was about to go live. Okay. Sorry. There's some settings on my streaming software that I had to verify just to make sure that everything was going to come through fine. Okay. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? If you guys don't know, this is Easter weekend, and Easter is on Sunday. And so, because of that, I'm really sorry to the Skeptic Mafia, but I just chose a proof of the resurrection video that we are going to go through tonight. I actually haven't heard some of these, at least being used all at the same time today. Also, the guy's demeanor is... I'm trying to be nice about it. The guy's demeanor is unique. So I thought it would be an interesting video for us to cover. He's a new guy. He just put this video out this year, so it's a fresh video. But also that means that we're going to see how the resurrection apologetics hasn't changed in 50 years. Probably more than that, more like 70 years. Anyways, we're going to be going over the resurrection and why these 5 things that this guy has does not prove the resurrection, but in fact, more likely shows that it most likely didn't happen. So, if you guys want to fuck around and find out why the resurrection never happened, then please stay tuned. This one. All right, heathens. Well, the first thing that we're going to get into today is going to be comments. Now, I'm not going to be doing the Today I Learns or Shitty Ass Science or anything like that. We got a lot of stuff to go through with the video tonight, although I am going to try to play it for pretty long periods of time so that we can, get through it pretty quick. Because it's almost a 10-minute video, so it's going to take us a little bit to get through it. But first, tonight, we are going to be doing comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself in the next week. Isn't that beautiful, honey? Aren't you going to be so ecstatic when I work in the recorder? Yep. Casey thinks that she made a mistake getting me the recorder. First up tonight, we're going to be talking about Ben Shetler. If you guys don't know him, he's done a lot of stuff with, I want to say it's Eric Hopend. I don't know. He's a creationist, and apparently he wanted me to come on to talk about this. And that's Numbers 31, specifically verses 17 and 18, where God has the Israelites kill small children and take young pubescent girls for themselves. So that's kind of an uncomfortable position that he's going to find himself in. But I'm going to be going on his show, I guess, to talk about it. I'm sure that I'll be able to post it on my channel if you just want to wait for me to post it. But this coming week, I'm going to be talking to Ben Shetler. Shetler. What? I meant Shetler. Shetler. All right, next on the comments. So this wasn't actually my comment. I found this on Bone Apple Tea on Reddit.
Hey, y'all know what?
Quentin beard me.
Anytime is a good time for a beer.
Quentin asked when Gesundheit. Wow. She sneezed so hard she saw Jesus. Daniel M initially tonight said, David says good night. Also in the spirit of Easter, we should say resurrect. Resurrect. So I think Daniel or David's already in bed, but anyways, David, good night. Hope you have a good night there, bud. Sleep tight, and I guess have a lovely weekend, dude. And then Quentin Van Boeven says, when can we expect the GE song album? I don't know if you guys really want it. I mean, it's gonna sound horrible because it's gonna be all out of tune. It's not really gonna rhyme. And I just got some jingles. Like, can you put out a jingle album? Do jingle albums exist? They do exist? I guess I could put out a jingle album. Only play it if you want your friends' heads to explode, I guess. I should make ringtones? That actually, Brosifa's ringtones might actually be hilarious. Like, this dumb motherfucker's calling you. Wait. We've thrown around the idea of doing a GPS service with Brosivas's voice. Like, if you go down a ways and you pass a cow, you've gone too far.
This is a bigger one.
Damn, Jamie Witkowski says, I used to sing Today I Learned. Now my favorite is Technical Problems with GE. So first they liked Today I and now it's technical problems with GE. Someone said citation fucking needed ringtone would be radical. This motherfucker doesn't provide citations. Don't pick up. Anyways, so this comes from Bone Apple Tea, and it says the Illuminati conspiracy theorists have a field day with this. God, that was hard to say. That's a difficult one. Yeah. Yeah, a one-eyed mantis with a triangle head. Here's Lowlife, who has a total misconception about how childbirth works. They said, yeah, but childbirth gives women orgasms. Why do you think they scream like that? I think you need to... Only a woman can really...
I said, I don't know, maybe because our vaginas are getting ripped in half?
There you go. Not an orgasm. Although there's probably some people out there that might enjoy that. In any case, that's not what's happening there, Low Life 9. All right, so obviously this is from my channel. Godless Engineer, I have yet to see you make a salient point versus a creationist. Seriously, you have not only stubbed your toe on multiple occasions, you nearly always end up face planting into a pile of meta muffins. You should stop now, for your own sake, for atheism's sake, for Pete's sake, for God's sake. I feel like I've made plenty of salient points, and now that I'm reading this, I think I read it last week too. This is, yeah, so I'm so sorry. This is a double comment because I totally read this last week. This comes from my TikTok. Tickety tock, tick 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 tickety tock. Fitness Powerhouse says Christ has been proven to be a real person. It's up to you to believe if he was or wasn't the Messiah. I mean, there's an ad populum argument that all of the Christian scholars believe that Jesus existed, but I mean, I do not think that those scholars are reliable. I think it's a big circle jerk, and the New Testament scholarship is quite nearly bankrupt, intellectually bankrupt. So, no, I don't trust the people that think a Jew resurrected from the dead in the 1st century. Fuck me, I guess. And then finally, it's another mythicism-based comment for tonight. And that's going to be Chef Shoddard, who says, consensus on a historical position is based on evidence as every historical theory. Well, yes, Chef, I get that. And they do have evidence, but the problem is that their evidence doesn't support the conclusion that they come to. And there's plenty of counter evidence that casts enough doubt on the evidence that they provide to warrant not accepting their evidence. So, yeah. Namely, the tap dance in the Gospels around where Jesus was born, Bethlehem or Nazareth. Unnecessary if the figure was made up. They could have used Bethlehem from the start. And the crucifixion, counterproductive to convince Jews or Gentiles that Jesus was the Messiah. Well, so for the Bethlehem Nazareth thing, for one thing, they're made up stories. I mean, you can make up a story any kind of which way. Just because they were shitty storytellers doesn't mean that whatever they were telling a story about actually happened. 2, you can find a contradiction in the OT scriptures that the early Christians most likely considered to be prophecies about the Messiah that Jesus or the Messiah was supposed to be born in Bethlehem, but was also supposed to be called a Nazorian or a Nazarene, or to be coming from Nazareth. However, that kind of came about. It's quite easily shown how he could have, how his birth could have been in one place and also another place at the same time, like confusing the different birth narratives. So I mean, that can be easily explained. Just because I can explain why you're wrong about things doesn't mean that it's all ad hoc or I'm making up excuses or something like that, or it's unfalsifiable. I mean, any good hypothesis is going to be able to explain the information, just it explains it better. And then there's the crucifixion. Is the crucifixion counterproductive? No, it's not. Actually, a suffering and dying Messiah was more than expected. The Jewish Christians in the first century were reading the scriptures in order to glean information about Jesus, and one of those would have been Isaiah 53. However it was originally written, it doesn't matter. The first century Christians were reading it to mean a Messiah figure that was supposed to suffer, die, and resurrect and stuff. So I mean, this is all easily explained just with a careful reading of the Old Testament, with an understanding that the Jewish Christians in the first century were reading that in order to get information about the Messiah. This is recorded in a few different sources. One of them's Paul, so it was in the Bible, but you've also got Philo of Alexandria and Josephus. They all three of these guys record that the Jews were looking to the scriptures for information about Jesus. So this is all very well supported by evidence. Oh, you sent a super chat? You trying to give yourself some money? Okay. I was waiting for the notification.
Woo! Fair money.
Caitlin Chloe? I wonder where Caitlin is. What? Caitlin says, Catholic. I'm paying taxes on this twice to test Quentin's theory. Once on my income where this came from, and second on GE's income this goes to. What's Quentin's theory? Oh. You did that? All right, so that's it for the comments today. I hope that you guys enjoyed them. Sorry we're kind of running a truncated stream tonight, but like I said, the video is kind of long. And Ronaldo Martinez says, heard of Ken Humphreys? He's one of my personal favorite atheists. I have heard of Ken Humphrey. But so just in case you guys are unaware, any of the the super chats or memberships that we get from this channel, or any revenue that's generated, a portion of that is going to be going to charities. Last month, we ended up giving $1,200 to help an atheist in a very troubling situation get out of that situation. Well, not fully get out. We helped get a good jump on raising the money to help get her out and get her to Canada. So we donated to the International Association of Atheists, to their Sun Network, which is a program at the International Association of Atheists. It's a program that helps get atheists out of dangerous situations, and in any kind of revenue that we generate here, a portion of that is going to be
just
going
a little
to,
bit of money.
That cause. It looks like we got Drew's book reviews. Drew says, "Say hi to Kara." What up, Kara? What's up, heathen? I'm making up another jingle to put in my album of jingles. Maybe that's what I should do. I should just record about 10 minutes of me making up jingles about stuff, and then just have one of those like rolling credits of the titles and just highlight the ones that I'm on. Put a bunch of junk titles in between. All right. Let's get to boom. This one. All right. So this right here, he's going to tell you his name. It's like Joshua Ricardo Chastain Jr. I don't think it's Ricardo. It might be Joshua. I'm not sure. Anyways, he's got a list of reasons as to why we should accept the resurrection as really happening. Drew's book review sent another super chat saying, Kara says she is good and high back. Awesome. I love the interaction.
Just a little bit of money.
All right. Let's get started on this video tonight.
In this video, I'm going to be talking about, do we have any evidence that Jesus rose from the grave?
This is an excellent question, which, can you make sure that can everybody hear? You can hear, well, I mean, you get the thing in. I know. Let me know if you guys, okay.
Evidence that Jesus died on the Roman cross and rose again 3 days later. Well, in this video, I'll give you 5 proofs that prove that Jesus died on the cross and then 3 days later rose again.
Well, okay, so technically not 3 days. I mean, so Jesus was crucified at noon, and then there was a darkness for 3 hours, I believe. But in any case, so in reality, even if you go by Jewish counting, I believe it was only like 2 days because he rose on Sunday morning. It's debatable about whether it was 3 days. Most likely they made it 3 days because of the past savior or resurrection deities. They probably made it 3 days because previous resurrection deities were saying that same thing. Actually, let me look up 1 Corinthians.
Listen,
15.
donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Oh, Quentin's going to hell again. Okay, so yeah, even Paul says that he was raised on the 3rd day. So I believe that that's just because that's the general model for resurrection deities. Lisa for Truth says, Happy Pagan Fertility Rights Day! And then Quentin says, since it's now April, where is my weekly tithe going this month? I hope not the same place that the Catholic Church sends tithes to. You mean the Pedophile Defense Fund? No. It's not going there. We haven't picked one yet. We've got some ideas mulling around, and we may pick a few and let the Skeptic Mafia choose where the money goes this month. So be looking out for that. We'll keep you guys posted. I do want to point out a few things here on this guy's video. Okay, for one thing, honey, I don't know if you see, but there's a Grogu down there. He's got a Grogu. And then Ronaldo Martinez says the darkness, the eclipse didn't last 3 hours, only 7 minutes. Well, that's how long an eclipse probably would last. But as far as the accounts in the Bible go, I believe it says 3 hours. But anyways, if you'll notice right behind him over his left shoulder, he's got a compound bow back there. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe he's a hunter, or maybe he's training for the apocalypse. I don't know. Either way, it seems a little weird to have hanging up on your wall while you're shooting a video. Like, that's kind of a weird thing to have just in your room as you're recording this and you're talking about Jesus' resurrection. Another thing, if you'll notice on the whiteboard back there, it just says doubt. Now, does he have to like remind himself to doubt shit every day? Listen, okay? Don't just believe people. That's how they get you every time. Remember to doubt. I feel like that doubt is going unread on that whiteboard.
Again. All right, number one is that Jesus lived. Non-believers and believers both believe this. Not only Christian writers, but non-Christian writers says he existed. He wasn't just made up. If you look at Josephus, Tacitus, Governor Plinley the Younger, and Suetonius.
Okay. Now, I don't know how to pronounce all these names, but I'm fairly certain it's not Plinley the Younger. I don't need to really get on to anybody about pronouncing
donating
shit.
this much money only secures your seat in hell.
But Plinley is a little off there. Jonathan Hanchek says gravity, motherfucker. Also, remember KC almost always right, and sci-fi is f ducking awesome. So I can, for the sake of the conversation about the resurrection of Jesus, I can get behind Jesus living as an actual person on earth. Just for the sake of discussing whether or not he rose from the dead. Because remember, these are supposed to be 5 proofs that prove that Jesus resurrected from the dead. Whether or not he was a historical figure really doesn't matter, because even on the mythicist position, you have a resurrection occurring. It's just a difference in where it occurs. In mythicism, the hypothesis is that Jesus died and resurrected in the lower heavens, whereas in Christianity and all of the Christian scholars, down here on earth is where they think that he resurrected. But I don't trust the authorities on this particular issue. For one thing, every single authority in the field is most likely a Christian. Most of the authorities in this field are Christian, and so they would use the same bad reasoning that they used for Jesus' resurrection as they do for the historical nature of Jesus. So I think that the reliability of the consensus on this point cannot be trusted to make correct conclusions because of the fact that they do not use sound reasoning in order to get there. If the same reasoning can be used to prove that a Jew resurrected from the dead in the 1st century, with the same, if the same kind of reasoning can be used to prove that a Jew resurrected from the dead in the 1st century, as well as the same Jew even existing historically in the 1st century, then I just don't think that you have a very good foundation for determining truth in that situation. Now, everybody likes to point out that there are atheist scholars that also accept that he existed. I get that there are some tokens in the Christian, scholarly community, right? There are some token atheists out there that definitely say that Jesus existed in history. But every single time that a person outside of the field that is a historian, that has the relevant credentials to be looking at the history of it, every time that they've looked at it, they've come away either being agnostic or becoming mythicist. There have even been some Christians that have also become a mythicist, due to looking into this. And that's perfectly fine. He has no problem accepting that Jesus was a mythical figure, that he was only celestial, as far as Paul knew. So just appealing to the authorities in this situation is not going to cut it. The same authorities that think that Jesus lived also think that he resurrected. So I just simply don't trust them. And the people that you listed here as far as proving whether or not Jesus existed, they literally don't. They're either wholly inserted like Josephus, or they just merely mention the beliefs of Christians in the 2nd century like Tacitus and Pliny the Younger. So none of these things actually prove what you think they prove.
These were 4 historians that said that Jesus existed. He wasn't just made up. He's not this fairy tale person. You also...
That's not what they said. They just regurgitated what 2nd century Christians believe, which is totally what we would expect. How much money would it, Rob Montgomery says, how much money would it take to secure 2 seats in hell? I plan on being fat when I die. America. I think that we got you covered there, Rob. Don't worry about it. I'm a fat ass too.
You also have non-atheist agnostic scholars who agree that he did live. Also, the Quran speaks that Jesus existed as well. Number 2 is that...
Okay, before we get to number 2, the Quran is really, really horrible evidence to say that Jesus existed. For one thing, it was written much, much later, like 700 years later. This is worse evidence than like the Talmud. So I don't know why you would want to bring that up. Why would you want to bring up something from Islam that didn't come into existence until the 7th century when we're talking about the 1st century? Like, I don't even know why you would want to bring that up.
Evidence from biblical Christians, writers from the 1st century, and non-Christian writers wrote this down and said that it was true. Christians wouldn't make up that Jesus died on the cross if they were making it all up, because back then, if you were to die on a Roman cross, that meant that you were shamed by God. If Jesus was God, they wouldn't make that up, because that meant that he was shamed by God.
Well, so it would mean that he was shamed by God if he was crucified by the Jews. And I mean, he was shamed by the Jews, but what are you doing?
I blew my load.
Asexual atheist says all claims, no evidence. I agree. He's got are claims and no evidence. But he was shamed by the Romans and the ruling Jews at the time, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because on Paul, was it when Jesus arrived in
donating
Jerusalem?
This much money only secures your seat in hell.
Who's your buddy? The Quran also says Jesus was just a prophet, not the Messiah. That's true. I don't know why they would want to use that for historical reasons. Anyways, but if you remember, when Jesus rode in on the 1 or 2 asses that he rode in on, depending on the gospel you read, when he rides into Jerusalem, you have the entire town that's out there to greet him and is so happy that he's come. Yay, Jesus! They were ripping off their shirts and throwing them at him and shaking their titties at him and things. And, they were just so excited that he was there. And then just a few days later, it's like the entire town turns against him and they're throwing rocks at him and shit, and they hate him and everything, and, want him to get crucified and stuff. It seems a little disjointed there as far as how the town felt, how Jerusalem felt about Jesus. But in any case, in the Gospels, Jesus was shamed, right? But also, if you knew your Old Testament scriptures, you would know that it says that the Messiah would be shamed, that he would be beaten and bloodied, and he would suffer and die a shameful death. And so to say that the Jewish Christians in the 1st century weren't expecting this really baffles me, because they definitely were, considering the Old Testament. So I don't think that this little bit of criterion of embarrassment, because that's what he's using here, is the criterion of embarrassment. It seems to me like any reason that you could think up to argue against this as being fake gives it just as much reason to make it up. You could use this as an apologetic. Well, why would we say he was crucified if he really wasn't? It just seems to me like there's just as much reason to make it up as for it to be real, right? So that gives us no indication as to whether or not it really did happen. So it's ultimately pointless to bring up. But just saying that they would have been embarrassed by this, or this would have been some kind of thing that they wouldn't have expected, you're trying to say that what the Jews were thinking in the 1st century, and nobody should say that, because we don't know. We have indications of what they might have been thinking, but we don't know what they were thinking, as far as the truth about what they were thinking. So, I mean, it's just completely wrong to say that we know that they wouldn't have accepted a suffering, dying Messiah. For one thing, we know that they would because they did.
Outside of the Bible that proves that Jesus died on the cross as well. Non-Christian sources have no biases, and there's no reason to lie. There's no reason to lie about that. Number 3 is that the tomb.
There's no reason to lie about that? How do you come to that conclusion? Like, I don't know whether or not there was a reason to lie for it. I honestly don't think that they were lying. Like, the original Christians that came up with Christianity, with this new religion, I don't think that they were lying. They read the scriptures, and then they thought this shit actually happened. They thought that this stuff actually came to fruition. It just had been done in silence, and they just didn't know about it. But the scriptures are telling them that it did happen. So it's not that anybody was lying. That's just not the thing.
It was empty. We can look at the tomb also was discovered by women. Women discovered that the tomb was empty. And if we were making this up, back then, a woman's testimony meant nothing. It's not like today where women and men are equal. Back then, women's testimony meant nothing. If we were making this up, why would I have a woman testify that Jesus rose from the grave? Wouldn't I have a man, somebody that's more credible, maybe somebody that's word meant more, that was true?
So, for one thing, back at that time, it's not that women's testimony wasn't trusted. It was trusted. It just... Casey is flipping the guy off right now. You can't see her. But it's not that women weren't trusted. It's just that it was seen as like unseemly to have women in the courtroom. Like it was kind of one of those just cultural things. Like they just weren't going to have women in the restroom.
What are you doing?
Or not restroom. Courtroom.
I blew my load.
Michael W. Roble says, didn't Josephus sell out his Jewish brothers at Jerusalem during the Roman invasion, making him a turncoat and an untrustworthy scumbag? Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure about untrustworthy scumbag, but he did definitely turn and go to the Roman side rather than the Jewish side. But so it's not that women's testimony wasn't trusted, okay? That's one thing. For the second thing, this was not happening in like a Jewish court of law. Nobody was testifying in a Jewish court that Jesus resurrected from the dead. This is a personal anecdotal testimony by the women. Now, if you think about in the Gospels, when the women in the later Gospels, when they find the tomb, they immediately run back to the disciples, who then didn't believe them and then came and saw it. And they're the ones that kind of spread shit. It wasn't the women that initially spread shit. So, I mean, even if you were to say that they... Yes, son?
And put it back, and it fell on the fucking floor.
Oh no. All the pizza? One of my pieces. Got it. I don't know. It tore perfectly, though.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
I know.
Sorry.
Uhan Roderick's going to hell. We get another pop-up coming here in a second.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
So we got Uhan Roderick who says, hello everyone, Star Wars superior to Star Trek, Die Hard is the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Thanks for your attention. Who's Your Buddy says, I love this argument. The word of a woman was less than the word of a man. 2 seconds later, the Bible says women and men are equal. Lol. Cool story, bro. I know, right? It's kind of hard to sit there and speak out of both sides of your mouth like that. Apparently all the Ziploc bags are sliced in there for some fucking reason. Anyways, to get into the final point in refutation of this guy, there's a common theme in the New Testament, specifically Mark's Gospel, which which originated the whole women finding the empty tomb tradition, there's this theme that is the least shall be first, right? Those at the bottom will be the first to get into heaven, right? That is Jesus's message all throughout Mark's gospel. So it would actually be, what am I trying to say here? It would actually be not expected. It would be unexpected for men to find the tomb at the end. It just wouldn't make the story work. That would actually make the story unbelievable. Because you've got the entire gospel saying the least shall be first, the least shall be first, the least shall be first. But then at the end, it's like, but wait a second, white guys are first. White guys in the Middle East are first. Those are the first ones. So it really doesn't make any kind of sense. If guys were to find the tomb. So yeah, at every single point, this particular argument fails.
More that was true, but instead the women were the ones that discovered that the tomb was empty. Also, we can look at the religious leaders try to discount that the tomb was empty because that the disciples stole it. Therefore, if they said that the disciples just stole it, that means that the tomb had to have been empty for the religious leaders to even say such a claim. We can also look.
Well, so as far as the soldiers at the tomb, that actually developed later. So Matthew was written in the 80s. Mark's was written in the 70s. Mark's gospel doesn't have any soldiers in it. In fact, Matthew's gospel is the only gospel that has any soldiers at the tomb, right? Matthew's gospel is the only gospel where any kind of precautions were actually taken to make sure that Jesus didn't resurrect. In Mark's gospel, the women find the tomb, they run away scared, and that's it. That's all. They don't say anything to anyone, which kind of brings it into question as to how all this propagated in the first place. But in Mark's gospel, there are no soldiers. Matthew's gospel, insert soldiers, right? And this was most likely because as the cult was growing between the 70s and the 80s, you had people that were just like, yeah, well, those disciple fucks probably just stole the body. You had people that would just obviously come back with saying, oh, obviously the disciples stole the body, or somebody else stole the body. Somebody stole the body and made it look like he resurrected. And so then Matthew comes in and he's like, I got the fix for that. There were the Roman soldiers at the tomb guarding it. Jesus made them shit themselves and scared the piss out of them. But hey, they were there. We got a couple super chats coming in.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell. Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Y'all are all going to hell tonight. Daniel M says, he said, blessed are the meek. That's nice. They haven't much going for them. Monty Python's Life of Brian is great. Yep. Lisa for Truth says, why should we accept he was in a tomb? Most likely he was thrown in a mass grave. Well, I mean, that's another thing, is that most likely he was thrown in a mass grave if he was even crucified. So it doesn't make sense for him to be put in a tomb. But in any case, as far as Roman soldiers at the tomb, that was invented with Matthew in order to dispel the notion that anybody removed the body or anything like that, or anybody stole the body. That's the reason why that's there. But also in Luke, he doesn't feel the need to have guards there, because I guess at that point Luke was just like, fuck it, y'all are wrong, nobody stole the body, kind of thing. So Luke didn't need that kind of apologetic, but Matthew felt like he did.
Also look at in Matthew 27:64 is that the Romans took precautions and they posted a guard, they sealed the tomb, and they had a stone that was 2 tons, weighed 2 tons, and posting a guard meant that they put Roman soldiers, so 10 to 30 Roman soldiers on guard.
10 to 30 soldiers? No, there was 4 maybe, or 2. It was between 2 and 4. I can't remember exactly in Matthew. Let's see. Matthew, let's see. Hold on. Bible verse, Matthew, Roman guards at tomb. $27.66.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Okay, I'll get to it here in just a second. Oh no. Yeah, it probably did. So the only thing that is mentioned about the guards at the tomb, all it says is guards, like multiple guards. So I would say between 2 and 4. It doesn't say anything about 10 to 30 guards being there. I don't know where he's getting this whole idea that there were 10 to 30 guards, but all it says is an ambiguous amount, 10. No, honey, I don't think he got the beanie from prison. Dave Lee says, was Jeeba 17? Maybe Matt Getz stole the body. Ooh. Thank you, Dave Lee. That was awesome. But yeah, I don't know about like 10 to 30 guards. That just seems ridiculous.
On guard. And we have to remember, if the disciples were willing to steal the body before Jesus was put on the cross and died, they were cowards. They denied Jesus that they even knew him. So all of a sudden now they're gonna go and steal Jesus' body from these Roman guards, and they have the courage to do so.
Why are you mixing up gospels here? Mark does not have any guards at the tomb. Matthew's the only one that has guards at the tomb. But when you showed your, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that comes from Mark that they were all scared and shit. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't scared and shit in Matthew too, but I'm just saying that when you're presenting this stuff on the screen, it would be helpful that if you're saying that this one fact that only comes from one gospel, you might want to pull a Bible verse from that same gospel that shows that they were scared, right? Now, I think that the people like stealing the body is one of the least likely possibilities, but I think that stealing the body or the stolen body hypothesis is far more likely than a magical resurrection of a dead Jew. So while I think that it's unlikely, it is also still a better explanation than Jesus' resurrection.
From these Roman guards, and they have the courage to do so, it makes no sense. Why would they go steal a body knowing that Jesus is not God because he didn't rise from the grave, all to risk their lives from these Roman soldiers? It makes no sense. And also too is that the body was never found in the tomb. They never found it, like the Roman soldiers never found it, like nobody in history found Jesus' body. And
because it probably didn't exist in the first place.
I mean, I think that the body was never found because Jesus was never really entombed. But even if you think that Jesus was crucified, I think that the people that had these hallucinations after Jesus resurrected, I think that it didn't necessarily need like an empty tomb to be found. In fact, Paul never talks about the importance of an empty tomb. In fact, the empty tomb never convinces anybody of Jesus' resurrection. The only thing that ever convinces anybody of Jesus' resurrection is an appearance of Jesus. If you look all throughout the Gospels, that is the only time somebody has believed that Jesus resurrected. So the empty tomb is not a good apologetic to use to prove that Jesus resurrected. Because not even the disciples within the own story are convinced by it.
Is that Jesus appeared to people. Jesus appeared to Paul, who was persecuting Christians before he met Jesus. He was willing to, kill them. He was the one persecuting people, and all of a sudden now he's willing to die as a Christian. That 180-degree switch, why would that happen? We can also look at...
Why would it happen? I mean, fuck if I know. Why would anybody radically change their position on something? I feel like the insinuation here, though, is that Paul was persecuting Christians. He was killing them left and right. And then something radically changed his mind about it, and he becomes a Christian. And the only thing to these people, apologists, the only thing that could radically change someone's mind in this situation would be an appearance of Jesus or a resurrected Jesus, speaking to Paul or Saul. He becomes Paul after he meets Jesus. So, I don't see how jumping to resurrected Jesus as being like the thing that happened to change his mind. Now, do I think that he possibly had a hallucination of Jesus? Yeah. I think that Paul was I believe Paul was schizotypal. That just means that he had some schizophrenic tendencies, like, for instance, auditory and visual hallucinations. I think that could perfectly and naturally explain the drastic switch from being a persecutor of Christians to being a Christian himself. He had a hallucination, auditory and visual, of Jesus. Jesus spoke to him, and he became a Christian. Perfectly natural and reasonable.
Look at that Jesus appeared to the 500 in 1 Corinthians 15:6. 500 eyewitnesses. He also appeared to...
Name those people. Just give me a list of them. Name one person in that 500. You can't name a single person. All you have is an anecdotal testimony that 500 fucks saw him, which critical scholarship of this particular passage shows that a very common spelling mistake in the Greek could have definitely resulted in the creation of the 500. This very simple spelling mistake, if you just made it in that one part, it would actually be Jesus appeared over Pentecost, not to 500 people. So it's more likely Jesus just appeared to people over the course of Pentecost, and that's it. But in any case, even if there were 500 people, all he does is ambiguously talk about these 500 people. What are we supposed to do with this? How are we supposed to figure out whether or not these people actually did see a resurrected Jesus? How do we know that Paul isn't just talking out of his ass about it? How do we know he's not just making this number up? How do we know that the people that told Paul weren't just making this shit up? Paul probably believed that 500 people saw a risen Jesus, but he obviously got this creed from somebody else, so maybe that other person was like making shit up. How do you know that we can trust that person? How do we know that he wasn't just feeding some shit to people and was like, nobody's gonna believe this shit? Anybody would ask who these fucks are, right? That's right, honey. Nobody watched The Human Centipede, by the way. It is unsanitary.
Who was a skeptic, who didn't believe that he was really the Messiah or the Savior. He also appeared to women, and he also appeared to the 12 disciples. Acts
1. No. So Paul just says the 12. We don't know in what context he's talking about 12. He could be talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. He could have been talking about some mysterious group of 12 people that we don't know who in the fuck they are. But what I do know is that Paul never references disciples. The 12, if you read the 12 in 1 Corinthians 15 to mean the disciples, you're inserting later information into Paul's work. That would be information that only came as early as possibly the 70s. This information, you can't just import it into Paul, who was writing in the 50s. Okay? You just simply can't do that. More than likely, this mysterious 12 that he's talking about is some other group or a metaphorical 12, like as in the 12 tribes of Israel. Also, he mentioned James, the brother of Jesus. I don't think that Jesus had a brother, but that's been discussed on various other videos.
Acts 1:3 says that after his suffering, he presented himself to them and gave many convincing proofs that he was alive. He appeared to them over a period of 40 days and spoke about the kingdom of God.
Over the period of 40 days, it kind of seems, that's just Luke. Luke wrote both Luke and Acts, right? The author of Luke wrote both Luke and Acts. So this comes later, more at the end of the 2nd century, but when you have, let's see, Matthew, I want to say Matthew, Great Commission, okay. Obviously, Mark doesn't have any post-resurrection appearances of Jesus, just the women running away from the tomb. Let's see. At the end of Matthew's gospel, it's not a 40-day period. It's actually just he resurrected, he appeared to people, and then he just teleports back up into heaven. Then Luke says it was a period of 40 days, which is really just saying a long time. And then John's gospel, let's see. Bible. So far. I think in let's see, as far as in John's gospel trail, oh wait. John. I don't really see all that much of a time period. I think that it was just sometime after he appeared, after his death, that he ascended into heaven. I do not see any specific amount of time. I should have looked this up before going live. I know. But in any case, my point is that all 4 gospels have different amounts of time that Jesus supposedly stuck around after his resurrection. So saying that it was for 40 days, like specifically, is mixing up your gospels. It's a magic number. It is.
So all these eyewitnesses show that, because a lot of people think that all these people were just hallucinating, that they had all these, like, they were just going through all this stress because their savior that they thought that was gonna save them died, and so they were having all these hallucinations. But the fact is that if over 500 people had the same exact hallucinations, this means that would have been more of a miracle than Jesus rising from the grave. And
no, I don't think that that's more of a miracle. Like, mass hallucinations is a studied thing. While it doesn't happen often, it can definitely happen. But also, I don't think that it says that Jesus appeared to 500 people. It says nothing about what the 500 people experienced, just that he appeared to them. And that's really very vague and ambiguous about his appearance to them. I mean, sure, these 500 people could have seen Jesus, but they could have seen Jesus in different ways. They could have had very different concepts of what Jesus looked like. Jesus could have come to each of them and said something different. I mean, you're acting like these 500 people had exact identical accounts to one another when that's not what we know. All we know is that Jesus popped in for a minute, said hi, YOLO, and then was out. Like, that's that would be a bare bones way of putting his appearance to them. Like, that shows that we know nothing about what these 500 people saw. So for you to act like, oh, this was, nearly impossible for these 500 people to have the exact same hallucination, when that's not even what's claimed.
Number 5, five proof, or the fifth proof. I need to work on my grammar. The fifth proof has to be is that the disciples were willing to die. They were willing to die for what Jesus said. I mean,
this really doesn't matter whatsoever. People die for lies all the time. Just because they sincerely believed in the belief and were willing to die for it doesn't mean that the events are true.
but they really believed that it was true. The disciples were once cowards. Remember that they denied that they knew Jesus when he went to go die on the cross. They didn't want nothing to do with him. They thought, oh man, this guy really isn't what he said he was. And then all of a sudden, after 3 days, they just switch their mindset. They turn on the switch, and now they're willing to die, to be crucified, to be stoned, to be beheaded, all for this Jesus that lied or says that he was God but wasn't. Why would they be willing to risk their lives in order for something that was fake? I mean, they had.
Well, so to answer your question in the most polite way that I can, I don't know, honey. I feel like he's a very, very green newbie in this area, and I don't want to scare him off. But let's see, how can I put this? I don't think that they were dying for a lie. I don't think that they thought it was a lie. The people that were dying for their faith come so far after Jesus supposedly died that there was nobody around that was dying for the faith that could have been lying. They all sincerely believed. Also, we don't know that any of the disciples died specifically for their faith.
Woo! That's KC's money.
Woo! KC got money from Wuhan saying, why do people follow cult leaders? Enough said. You know, that's a really good point there, Wuhan. I don't know why they do, but they do.
Had nothing to gain. It wasn't like they were going out making this stuff up and they were getting power, sex, money. No, it was they were getting crucified and be beheaded. Like, they had nothing to gain. Like, if I was making up a religion and I didn't believe in Christianity, I would be able to get power, money, or sex. It would be a cult. That's not what.
Wait, you think Christianity didn't start out as a cult? Also, you think disciples weren't getting laid? Like, I mean, yeah, I speak on behalf of the one Lord Jesus. Yes, of course you can suck my dick. I mean, I feel like you don't know why they would have been doing it. Now, as far as Paul and all the other apostles that were going around, I think that they literally believed in the faith. I think they sincerely believed in the faith. So it's not that they were lying or trying to get ahead or anything like that. It's just that they were doing what they thought they were being called to do. Your assumption that they initially lied about the faith is, not founded in evidence.
They told the truth and they told Jesus' truth, and it went against all of man's desires. So they had nothing to gain from that. We can also look at recent research. People like Frank Morrison, Lee Strobel, and Josh McDowell. There were 3 confessing atheists, and they sought out the truth. They wanted to know how they can rip apart the Christian faith. And then all of a sudden, as they're doing research, they realize that, wow, there's so much proof that Jesus ended up dying on the cross and rising from the grave. So
thank you, hon. I don't know at all why this would be a convincing point. I literally do not care if Lee Strobel was once an atheist and then investigated the Christian faith and turned his shit around, quit putting holes in walls, and became a Christian. I really don't care. That does not mean that Jesus resurrected from the dead. Sorry, 1 second. Any of those other people that were once atheists that became Christian, it does not matter whether or not they were convinced that Jesus resurrected from the dead. That doesn't change the evidence that we have. It doesn't change the fact that we just simply don't know hardly anything about the first century Jewish Christians or what happened in the first century. We don't know about any of these things. Just because Lee Strobel was a bad investigative reporter doesn't mean that Jesus actually resurrected.
From the grave. So instead of being atheists, they went ahead and converted to Christianity, which is really awesome. But the thing is that this might scare you. Does it scare you? Does it scare you the fact that Jesus could be the Messiah?
No, it does not scare me. Everybody in the live chat right now, push a 1 for not scared and a 2 for scared. If you're scared about Jesus being your Messiah, I want to see a 2. But if you're not, I want to see a 1 in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 for myself. 1, you're not scared, honey? I don't know why I would be scared by a hippie Jew. If a hippie Jew appeared in my living room and was like, I am the Messiah, I wouldn't be scared of him as like, oh no, it's Jesus, the Messiah. We have a Messiah. It was all real. This is all shenanigans. Tear all this shit down. Get rid of all this atheist stuff. KC would want to know who their dealer is. I would pick up a bat and try to get the hippie Jew out of my house. If he just poofed into existence like right in front, I'll just the lawyers are talking to me in my ear and they say you can't talk about beating Jews. I did not mean beating Jews, just the one mythical Jew. That what? That pops into existence out of literally nothing.
Be the God of the universe. And some of you might just look over this video and be like, wow, that's a good information. But some of you are like, wow, this could be the Lord of my life. And
I like how
woo, beer money.
Thank you so much there, Hoosier, for the beer money. Huh? Yeah, I know. I should have done a 0 or a 1. I will make sure to do that in the future. Hoosier Buddy says, what are you going to hit him with? That fish? No, I've got a bat. Or I've got a knife right here. I don't want to hurt myself. No, I mean, I don't know why any of this would scare. Also, I like how he's only got 2 conclusions. It's like, oh, either this information's turned you around and you become a Christian, or you just think this is really cool information and you want to know more. Like, there's no third option for this is all bullshit. Like, he just doesn't think that anybody that doesn't already agree with him is going to be watching his video. That's kind of telling.
wow, this could be the Lord of my life. And because if Jesus rose from the grave, this means that he's God. And if Jesus is God, that means what he said is true. And if what he said was true, that means that he was the ultimate sacrifice for us. He was fully man and he was fully God. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says, "For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God himself." He paid the price that we deserve. This means that we don't have to spend eternity in hell. All he asks is that we go, instead of going our way, we turn 180 degrees and go the opposite way towards Jesus.
You see, I feel like this right here is a pretty good example of this whole guilt trip thing about Jesus' sacrifice. Because if you listen to what he said, he said that, like, we all deserve to go to hell, but Jesus made it so that we don't. And I feel like that's kind of a subversive way to guilt trip somebody into believing. It's like, well, listen, Jesus died on the cross for you and you deserve hell, but you're not going to go to hell now because Jesus died for you. Ungrateful son of a bitch. you rat bastard.
Towards Jesus and to die to our flesh. Romans 10:9-10 says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is your mouth that you confess and you are saved. It is simple as ABC.
Jesus.
A, admit. Admit that you are a sinner, that you fall short of the glory of God. B, believe that Jesus.
Oh God, it's the ABCs of being indoctrinated. Okay, so number one's admit. I do not admit that I am a sinner. I don't believe in sin, so there's no way that I could admit that I'm a sinner. B, believe. I don't believe this bullshit.
Crucified on the Roman cross, and 3 days later rose again, conquering death, paying for the debt of sin that we accumulated over time. And finally, the most important of them all is to choose to place your faith in him, to trust him with your life. When you struggle with things or when you're going through storms, that you run towards him, call out to him, and not run away.
I do not choose to believe in God or Jesus. I handle my own shit. I don't need some imaginary deity in order to do it for me. I just simply handle it myself. That's not to knock anybody that feels like they need Jesus. I'm just saying that I don't choose to handle it that way.
To place your faith in him and to listen to what he has to say in order to live a great life. If you prayed that prayer, or if you said those words, I want to just say congratulations. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. And Ephesians 2 verse 6 says that, and raised us up with him and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus. If you prayed that prayer, comment down below, and also you can message me on @PatrickChastain Jr.
Patrick! Fuck, I was so off. Ricardo, Joshua. No, it's fucking Patrick. Anyways, I like the really, like, just the I like the positive outlook that this guy has on his performance in this video, because anybody that's going to be watching this is not going to be somebody that that doesn't believe in what he believes, right? Or at least that's not the target audience that he's going for. Target audience he's going for are people that are already Christian or are the kind of Christians, I guess. I mean, he made this video to reinforce what people already believe. He didn't make this video for people who don't already believe, because none of the things that he brought up are any kind of proofs that would actually cause someone to start believing in Jesus. We've heard all this shit before, so at least he knows what audience he's going for.
And also you can message me on @PatrickChastain Jr. on Instagram.
Sorry, I forgot to read the super chat. Michelle F says, is this the Krusty Krab? No, it's Patrick!
And say that you prayed that prayer, and I'd love to get in touch with you. Maybe help you find a church that teaches biblical truth, so that you can keep growing in your faith. And I'm just excited that you made that decision. And if you didn't make that decision and you just watched this just to get a little bit more informed, maybe you're already a Christian and you had some doubts, well, I'm glad that I was able to share some facts that helped you, strengthen your faith a little bit. I want to
facts. But I kind of feel like this was like one of those educational videos, and at the end of the educational video, it's like, oh, so you've decided to come to Christ. That's so wonderful. Good job for you. Now, go and learn more about Christ at your local church. I feel like it's the end of an educational seminar. That's just like one of those really poorly developed educational seminars and it automatically assumes a positive outcome, and it's so naive.
Strengthen your faith a little bit. I want to say thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Lifting his name on high.
Jesus fucking Christ, where did Satan come from? Did y'all hear Satan? Yeah, he did. He popped in out of fucking nowhere. And he had his like metal sound going on, like lifting his name on high. Like I can't get over that. That's just so fucking funny to me. Oh god. Anyways, let's get back to the main camera here. Oh shit. If he made that sound, I really want to see a Christian metal album from this dude, because that would just be that would just be the craziest fucking thing to see him talking like this.
Donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Just to see him in this, and then to see him up and doing like a metal song or something would just be fucking. It would blow my mind. Anyways, Ronaldo Martinez says, Patrick, citation fucking needed. Damn it, GE, warn us next time. Anyways, that's going to be the end of the show tonight. We do have the Skeptic Mafia comments that we're going to be going over, so if you want to stay around for that. Normally, the Skeptic Mafia has some really great input on the videos that we cover, so I would highly suggest you stick around for that. Let me get to them here. If you're not part of the Skeptic Mafia, why not? We do great stuff here. We're just the shittiest fucking people ever. We do no good ever anywhere for anything other than donating to food banks, donating to COVID-19 relief, donating to helping people get out of dangerous situations. I mean, holy fuck, we've foster kids, diabetes, just a whole plethora of things that we're just shitty people at. But in any case, that's going to be our show. If you liked tonight's show, please smash that like button. If you didn't, that's okay too. Smash that dislike button. But be sure to leave me a comment down below if you're not watching this live. And I guess I forgot the subscribe part. If you like this kind of live stream, be sure to subscribe.
This is a bigger one.
And I guess I'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye.
Oh shit,
heathens.
this is a bigger one.
Damn, guys, y'all. Oh shit.
Did you count my money to make sure you don't lose any of my bills?
Yeah, I know. I gave it back to you pretty soon. Uhan Roderick says money for terrible people to do terrible things with. Limited Light says citation needed metal style. Warning, I'm gonna try to do it metal style. Citation fucking needed. I really don't know how that came off. I don't know if that was good or
Woo! That's KC's money.
Caden says I didn't put a Skeptic Mafia comment in, so take a super chat instead. Uhan Roderick says I just want to see Burcephus pop up again. You guys are so awesome. I mean, shitty. You guys are just the shittiest. Super chat for the sake of it? Yeah, I know, right? Vanta Blue said super chat for the sake of it. I guess so. All right, so first up, we've got Daniel M. who says some old shit, same old shit, just different day. I do like that he tried saving us, lol. It's like he didn't take into account. Oh crap! You know what? I didn't do this right here. Here we go. I was wondering why I was having a hard time reading this. I thought maybe I was just getting old or some shit, but actually I probably am. It's like he didn't take into account that that atheists would watch his video and tear down every argument. Somehow, I don't think he ever thought that was an option. Anyway, by the time this is read, we will have had our Friday fun and facepalmed the shit out of ourselves. He should feel extremely honored to have the most depraved and sickening channel debunk his video. Do you know what else is a great honor? That's right, joining the most depraved and sickening channel. We do sick and depraved shit, like help others, donate to charities, and be people others can lean on in a time of need. It's called the Skeptic Mafia, and we have cool emojis like the whale peen and possibly coming soon, Ray Comfort spewing. Join now and find out which is better, Star Trek or Indexing at 1. Thank you so much, Daniel. That was awesome. Drew's book review says, I have not watched the video, but I will say I hear the word resurrection, and I almost always associate that with the classic Canadian grunge rock band Moist and their song Resurrection. Still, I'm wishing I could stay, but I'm sorry, my old friend. I've got to leave you once again. And despite what I might say, measure pleasure by the pain, measure pleasure by the twisting of the metal in the vein. Here comes the resurrection. Everybody's got to die from something. Nothing ever left to leave you when you go. I saw you strip my babies. Animal, the way you cut them might be. Animal, the way I cut you from below. I know harsh, but let's face it, crucifixion was a harsh and torturous way to go. Anyway, with those happy thoughts, happy Easter, and keep on reading. Thank you there, Drew. Vanta Blue says the pagan sources he has on his screen for the proof of Jesus dying on the cross were a lot of heresy stuff, or hearsay stuff. The ones that aren't posed as such would still need checking on to see if they were alive at the same time. None of them were. Men and women are equal nowadays? You heard it here first. Yeah, I know. I thought about saying something about it, but I got lost in the whole subject matter. So yeah, I wouldn't say that women and men are treated very fairly or equally nowadays. People are not, women aren't, not both groups, but women. People are not only willing to die for a perceived Christ, but also iPhones, TVs, cars, coffee, or just being right. This is probably his weakest argument. I know. This one time, there was a woman in line to get like a TV on sale at Walmart for Black Friday, and my mom was there to pick up some stuff too. Except this woman looked like she was about to kill somebody for a fucking TV. So you can add, you got TVs in your list. People are definitely willing to kill a motherfucker or die for a TV. Thank you there, Vance. I appreciate you. Michael W. Roble says grammar isn't his only problem. He might want to work on pronunciation, originality, factuality, enunciation, projection, and maybe rationality. And maybe he can find some true subject matter to talk about next time instead of ancient torture porn. Speaking of which, 60 years ago I hated this weekend when the nuns were trying to indoctrinate us with tales of torture and blood and death with their evil grins and cold stares, proclaiming it was a joyful time. Then they would march us to confession so as to, make sure that on Sunday, when he rose from the grave, we would partake of communion and drink his blood and eat his flesh, and that is why I'm a normal adult today. I don't I feel like you actually mean the opposite there. Gary White. Gary says, where is his actual proof? And can't wait to see what your reaction to this is. See you guys tonight. Thank you there, Gary. Command Cyborg. Debunked every single position. Command Cyborg says, okay, let's see. Whether we grant this or not, those are terrible sources. Some speak of Christians equals not remarkable. Some are known to have forged parts specifically about that. The scholars you mentioned would probably agree on this unless they are, let's say, motivated by bias. And yes, Christian sources would have pretty strong reasons for doing that. Plus, the Quran didn't only have him living, but also, importantly, not dying. That's true. Excuse me. 2. Again, they eyewitness Christians. People living tend to die. Back in those days and places, crucifixion wasn't all that uncommon, especially if you pissed Pontius Pilate off. If the Sanhedrin came to him with an execution request, however, he might just have to let whoever live he liked to annoy them. Yeah, he didn't give a fuck about the Sanhedrin. 3. The old woman at the tomb argument. Fixing corpses up was a woman's job. Having men do that would have looked suspect. Narrative, my dude. Also, the Romans had a bit of letting crucified people rot on the cross as part of the punishment and a deterrent, then tossing them in a mass grave. Nobody in a tomb to begin with equals hella empty later. Right, exactly. 4. I like Apologia's version where only Peter and Paul hallucinating a risen Jesus would be enough. The rest would be embellishments. Again, no points for you here. 5. Only that's highly not proven. Paul was probably killed about it, but he was traveling around being fucking annoying too. 6. Even in the NT Bible narrative, risen people wasn't all that few, so I guess they were God also. True. Smash all the buttons. Join the club for the fun, for the good cause, and for making GE say stupid shit. Like, what the fuck? No, I don't have anything for you guys. I'm skipping that today. And then a bunch of the emojis, because as part of the Skeptic Mafia, you can do that. And transmission terminated with a little robot. Thank you so much there, Command Cyborg. Zach Clark says, do we have any evidence of Jesus' resurrection? I'm going to take a wild guess and say no. That's true. Urban Imposter. I don't really want to bash some dude with 40-some subscribers, but it looks like his arguments break down to a book says a thing. And why is it called Good Friday anyway? What part about dying to appease yourself make for any form of logic? That's a good point.
What are you doing?
I blew my load.
She blew her load, guys. Right. Why is it called Good Friday? Actually, I think that's kind of a mistranslation that has been handed down, I think is what we figured out. And it originally stems from a word that could mean like holy, like a holy Friday or something. Isn't that right, hon? Yeah. So I think that it's just sort of like a telephone game kind of situation where it turned into good. It originally wasn't good. It was called holy because of the fact that Jesus died for our sins and stuff like that on today. Oh, and then we got Chrismer, who says, okay, so his proof is a book said a thing. Yep, that's what it did. The book says a thing. Well, then, I'd better get started on writing a book detailing how I'm a billionaire, because if a book says a thing, that thing has to be true, right? Right? Wait, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Holy fuck, dude. DC Comics exists, therefore Batman is real? Right. I mean, it's a book that says a thing. So it logically follows that Batman is real. If you...
I'm gonna write a book that says I'm a princess.
You are a princess.
I'm a queen, bish.
Why are you gonna write a book that says you're a princess then?
I don't know, that would be pretty stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why you're getting mad at me for just saying what you just said.
I have a tiara.
Yeah, she does. I saw her wear it.
I have a picture of you wearing it.
Yeah. You got to put that on Twitter later, huh?
No, I'm not.
So it logically follows that Batman is real. If you follow this logic, then Harley Quinn is real too. Ooh, I'd love to meet Harley Quinn with those large bouncy. I'm getting off on another subject. Anyway, ASCII time before this degenerates any further. Oh, that's got a cool. I think
it's a thumbs up.
It's a thumbs up.
Mm.
Yeah, because his logic totally follows. Look, I'm all about Harley Quinn, but sadly, she doesn't exist because something is written in a book that doesn't automatically make it real. Sorry about my pervertedness shining through, but I just had to. Anyway, if you enjoyed this kind of content, go ahead and lick that like button and sensually pat the subscribe button on the head like you love, like the love you wish you would have gotten as you when you were a child. Ooh,
God,
damn.
that is so sad.
Jeez. That is too
Bear
close to home
money
right there. Oh, and while you're down here, you can go ahead and join the Skeptic Mafia. If you do, you can get John to say stupid shit like, oh, I don't know, Star Trek is indeed superior to Star Wars. Or you can make him say stupid jokes like, do you know why the woman always stands to the right of a man when they get married? Because the woman's always right.
I was on your left.
I mean, I'm not gonna draw any conclusions from that there, hon.
Well, we know you're not always right.
Oh. Anyway,
see, here's the point. I'm so right, I can be on your left and still be right.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's what it means. That's what that meant. Yeah.
Anyway, I've eaten up enough of your time. Thanks for attending my TED Talk. Oh, and remember to stand up and use your voice. Thank you so much, there, Charisma. Jonathan Hanachek says, I can't wait to see you rip this one apart. Wow, hope you're all doing great today. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Let me get back to the main camera here. So that's going to be it for the Skeptic Mafia comments. I don't think that we had any that was caught up at all.
We did. I approved it earlier at the beginning of the stream, so you should have been fine.
Yeah. Thank you, honey.
Okay.
Let's see. Vanta said Limited Light says KC should make GE play it live on the stream. Well, if they want.
I have it.
Oh.
It's just 7 seconds. It's the metal citation fucking needed.
Oh, okay.
You ready? Oh shit. Oh shit. Hold on.
Vanta said
God damn it.
Citation needed! Citation fucking needed!
Yeah.
Limited Light says KC. Oh, okay.
Sorry, you're in the background so I can hear.
Okay. Who did that?
Limited Light.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
He sent to the Facebook message, the Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Messenger. So I played it.
That was actually a lot better than what I did. Jane Pusicker says, I feel like the guy did a good job with basic knowledge on how Jesus died, but resurrection comes down to belief, nothing more. By the way, happy Easter. Right back at you there, Jane. I love finding eggs that Jesus mysteriously hides on Sundays too.
Metalhead, he can't wear the tiara now because it's packed. We're in the middle. We're in the process of packing. And you do have a unicorn horn. What are you looking for? Oh, it's over there. You know, that is not where it belongs. It's backwards. There you go. That's close enough. Put it more forward on your head. There you go.
Uhan says, woo, a thing here and some stuff. Thanks, Uhan. I appreciate it. Hellbound Hillbilly says,
listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Hellbound Hillbilly's going to hell. Take this and feed some diabetic orphans or something. Thank you there, Hellbound Hillbilly. I appreciate it.
Well, hell, you can't see half of it now that we've got that green screen.
Yeah, I know.
Bummer.
It's there, though, see?
Trumpy Bear is
packed. Didn't he? No.
I don't think I had room for him in that box.
Yeah, so I had bought a Trumpy Bear at one time just to see, because listen, the Trumpy Bear thing was like it. The original commercial for the Trumpy Bear was that it had like a full, like a full blanket that was in the shape of an American flag that was colored like an American flag. Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up on YouTube real quick.
Also brought G. Not packed yet either.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get back to the. Here we go. Let me redo this a little bit so that we can actually see it. All right, so here's the original Trumpy Bear commercial.
The wind whispered through the forest. A storm is coming. You cannot defeat the storm. From the trees rose a resounding voice. I fear nothing. I come when the trumpet sounds. I am the storm, the great American grizzly. Introducing the original Trumpy Bear, the fearless, super plush American grizzly. Trumpy Bear was born June 14th, Flag Day. Just find the secret zipper and pull out the flag blanket. Then wrap yourself in the red, white, and blue for comfort and warmth. Show your patriotism and proudly display Trumpy on Flag Day and on any American holiday. Trumpy.
Okay, so it was really marketed. This was a real thing. Now I want you guys to really take this in. Okay, so see how long Trumpy Bear's flag is right here. I mean, that looks like a pretty good blanket, right? And here's this woman, like, fluffing it out.
Then
you see how big that is?
Wrap yourself.
I mean, that's substantial, right? Like, that's an actual, like, I could cover myself up in that. This is what the fuck I got. Like, I don't know.
And it's square. It's like a square towel.
Like, that is not. I mean, come on. Like,
in the red, white, and blue for comfort and warmth.
I mean, it'll cover your feet.
Yeah, I mean, it hardly even covered. I got big ass feet.
You do. You have ogre feet.
But look, like, this is really close up. This would not even cover. I mean, this is bullshit. Okay, this is bullshit. Fucking Trumpy Bear's bullshit. Look at him with his fucked up hair. There we go. Get that comb over going.
Smooth it out.
It's shit.
That's what Jesus said.
And then,
yeah, I gotta pack these too. I just didn't have room in that box anymore.
Then there's Jesus. You getting ready to be crucified there, Jesus? Uh-huh.
Already.
Oh yeah, it is pretty much nice. It's like, I'm already dead, bitch. Damn, Jesus, the mouth on you.
Hold on one second. I gotta. Banta asked me to. Wanted you to read the comment from their comment on Urban Imposter's comment, but I pulled it up.
Okay.
It says English is. Oh, wait, beer money.
Sorry.
It says English is English. It hasn't got the same names where I live because language, cutting Thursday and long Friday of suffering. So yeah, it does. It has different names in different places.
Yeah. Is it made in China? Probably. I'm not sure.
I think it is.
Yeah.
See if I can find an ass tag.
An ass tag.
You know these things always.
They do.
Ass tag. Leave it to Trump to not have an ass tag.
Dustin Murdoch says, "What the fuck did you expect?" You know what? I don't know. I mean, I wasn't expecting all that useful of a blanket, but I didn't realize they were going to short me like 3 or 4 feet of blanket.
It does ass tag. Either that or I cut it off. I don't even.
No, there's no way to tell where it was made. It was
Do
probably.
you see how cheap this shit is? Of course, this is fucking.
Jane says he's talking about making a comeback for 2024 run, though it's just talk at this point. Nothing is set in stone. Good. I hope he doesn't. He could fuck off, and we could just never hear from him again, and I would be one happy motherfucker.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah, best of luck. Dave Lee says looking for ass gets me into trouble.
Looking for ass tags.
Ass tags.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
also, I don't know if you know this,
Huh.
but Drew's daughter Kara is the cutest. She left us videos on Facebook, or not Facebook, Twitter. I'll
Oh,
show you
yeah?
after. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I am gonna see you guys later. I gotta go and get Xander to bed. It's way past his bedtime. Plus I'm running out of steam. So, anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this tonight. I hope that you guys have a lovely weekend. If you're celebrating Easter, I hope that you have a great Easter. We're gonna be coloring eggs tomorrow, and playing that game with Easter. So no kind of serious, I guess, celebration or anything, but we'll be painting eggs.
Wish I would have got some lamb.
Some
I
lamb.
might still find some. I might still go get some lamb.
Oh yeah.
Lamb is the Easter thing to eat.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because Jesus is the Lamb of God?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, it's delicious.
It is pretty good. Anyways, heathens, I will see you guys later. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, and all that kind of good shit. Bye, y'all.
It's Kara. I fucked it up. It's Kara.